from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to the National News Broadcast. I'm Niket Karunaratne, together with Vidushini Sadish Kumar. The central bank governor guarantees that the country could be returned to stability with the correct implementation of the necessary measures. The finance minister tells the BBC that unpopular decisions will have to be taken to resolve the crisis. The minister in charge pledges not to leave room again for a fuel shortage. There will not be any power cuts tomorrow and on the 3rd of next month. A bhikkhu assaulted at the Galface protest site. The SJB march reaches Paliyagoda. India contributes further stocks of medicine to Sri Lanka. 66 persons killed in a suicide bomb attack in Afghanistan.
In your local stories this evening, Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nandalal Weerasinghe, requests foreign expatriate workers to send their remittances only through banks.
Addressing a media briefing yesterday, the central bank governor further said that such a measure would enable to engage in essential tasks in the country without much difficulties.
Is to encourage people to send money through banking channels so that that more money will be available within the banking system so that we can meet those short-term financing needs. We are all committed to do what is needed to do. Whether it is difficult or difficult choices, we will be doing that. We have to do it anyway. The IMF, that's a different story. But the thing is that we are in line with what they also think that these are the right things, so we will be doing that. The key objective is to bring debt into sustainable level. That's why we are asking relief for creditors. You give us some relief so that our debt is going to be sustainable. Sustainable means we are in a position to service debt on a sustainable basis. That's the key objective. That's why we are doing this. While we are doing this, we also need to have some financing in the short-term basis. Including everything, we have to come to a situation there. We have to show that our debt is going to be sustainable. The fact of matter is that we are in this position because our debt has become unsustainable until last month. That's why we stopped payment. The purpose why we did that is to make this sustainable. Then obviously, so that is the whole objective. Boost investor confidence from the central bank point of view. We have done already what we can do. But it is not only the central bank policies, not only the Minister of Finance policies that will boost investor confidence. You need to have political stability, as I mentioned, you need to have social stability. There are a lot of other things in place, and a lot of other structural reforms. All things will have to happen. So there are certain things in the short term, there are certain things in the medium term that will have to happen to boost investor confidence. Investor confidence wouldn't come like putting a switch on and off. It's a process over a period of time. If you do things right in the right direction, investor confidence will come. That's what we are trying to address this situation. At least short-term confidence on the financial market, so that we see stability in the currency. And that's why we are seeing some stability in the interest rates. So there are overshooting situation last 2 weeks, and it's stabilizing, and it will continue to be. Likewise, you see gradually that will be coming back. We don't necessarily need to have a full agreement with all the creditors for us to get money from the IMF. Once we make some progress, then IMF is willing to come to a structural agreement and then go to the board to start the extended fund transfer program from that point onwards, and before the first review, which is probably within 3 months, then only we have to come to a complete consensus with all the creditors. For that we have about 6 months. That's why I have been saying that I'm very confident that within about 3 months we can reach an agreement with the fund and disperse some money, and on that basis other creditors like World Bank and IMF also can enhance what is available in addition to already what I mentioned, the emergency financing. They can enhance their support, and also other bilaterals also can enhance support. At some point we will have access to markets, after some time, then we can stabilize the situation. If there are political stability, social stability, that will help for us to have a much more efficient kind of a program that will help the economy to stabilize. If there's more stability, when we thought that we are shown that we are doing things in the right direction, we will continue to do that.
Minister of Finance Ali Sabri says the most important tasks to be carried out at present is to prepare a plan to bring back the economy into normalcy.
He points out that as a measure to find remedies to the crisis, there is no way other than raising taxes, and the minister has made these remarks in an interview with BBC television.
A normal IMF bailout package would mean, and they've very specifically specified as well, that you have to raise taxes, you have to float your interest rates, you have to cut down on government spending. How much more can the country bear?
We have to increase the taxes. We need to find a way to bridge the revenue gap and the expenditure which we have. We have already sent a circular out not to get involved in any new projects or capital expenditure. So we are looking at all those possible areas. And any country to sustain, if you are not having like large oil reserves or something, tax revenue need to be 13, 14, 15% bare minimum. So we have 8.6%, which is definitely not sustainable. We must have a safety net to look after the poor. So we are working with the World Bank in terms of cash transfers and supporting them so that they will be protected.
The people are already burdened with the economic crisis, with rise in prices, with shortages, and will they have the bandwidth to take on further increase in taxes?
The people, yes, they are suffering, and it is a very unfortunate situation. But what are the choices we are left with? We want the whole system to collapse, and then there is absolutely nothing. Bank cannot open LCs, no importations, and then no goods at the ground. So you need to have a balance and go through the pain so that you regain. So many countries have gone through this.
The opposition parties have said they have support of enough parliamentarians to pass a no confidence motion. If that happens in the next few days or weeks, would that not be a concern to your creditors who are also looking forward to some political stability in the country as they discuss restructuring?
Yeah, it will definitely have an impact. Basically, this is an economic crisis. Economic crises have led to this political crisis. It's not a political crisis which led to the economic crisis. So, in order to get over, we need to have a plan for economic recovery. Nobody is providing that framework. Not the protester, not the opposition, no one is providing. So right now, important thing is to have an economic recovery plan and get that going.
Well, the Minister of Finance in a media release says that the overwhelming support extended to the people of Sri Lanka by international monetary institutions and friendly nations were extremely encouraging during this critical juncture of the Sri Lankan economy.
The ministry communique adds that the discussions conducted by the Sri Lankan delegation comprising Finance Minister Ali Sabri and Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe with the International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C., USA have been extremely successful. The meetings were focused on securing and extending fund facility to overcome the current difficult situation in the Sri Lankan economy. A formal request was also made for a rapid financing instrument for consideration of IMF to obtain immediate financing into the country. Among specific topics discussed with the IMF were the debt restructuring process, revenue and expenditure measures of the government, public finance management, reforms of state-owned enterprises and energy pricing. An IMF mission is expected to conduct discussions with Sri Lankan authorities in the beginning of next month, with the aim of reaching an agreement within a short period on a program for Sri Lanka in parallel to the debt restructuring process. The World Bank's emergency response package includes immediate financing for the purchase of essential medicines and a total package of around $600 million. The delegation also met President of the Asian Development Bank and discussed the country partnership strategy and the way forward for giving special focus on promoting economic activities. Discussions have also been taken place with representatives headed by the Indian Finance Minister.
Minister Kanchana Wijesekara says that if the private bouses dissociates from the program of distribution of fuel, they are prepared to find alternate strategies to deal with the situation. The minister has made these remarks issuing a communique by taking into consideration of the information relating to private bouses were preparing to leave from the process of distributing fuel with effect from midnight tonight. Three parties are engaged in the distribution of fuel. They are the filling station owners, the private sector and the government-owned bouses. It has also been pointed out that revision of payments on bouses hired from the private sector has been conducted on 5 occasions since July of last year. According to the final revision, an 84% growth in payments has been carried out. It has also been reported that although there has been an agreement for further revisions, the bowser owners have rejected the further amending of charges. The government says that any price revisions are to be conducted without subjecting to state institutions into financial collapses. Fuel distribution is presently taking place continuously. Unloading of diesel from another ship at the harbour has commenced last night. However, Ceylon Petroleum Private Tank Owners Association has decided to leave from fuel transportation activities from midnight tonight based on several demands. Unloading of petrol and crude oil from 2 ships is scheduled to take place in the next 2 days. Large numbers of private bouses were seen arriving at the Kolonnawa terminal since this morning to receive fuel, and fuel supply is being carried out without interruptions. Fuel transport by trains is also being carried out in the appropriate manner. Scenes of issuing fuel at filling stations island-wide without congestion were witnessed today as well. The Public Utility Commission informs that there will not be power cuts tomorrow and on the 3rd of next month on account of the International Labour Day, which falls tomorrow, and the Ramazan festival, which falls on 3rd of next month. However, daily power continuations of the duration of 3 hours and 20 minutes will take place on the 2nd and 4th of next month. These power cuts on these 2 days will be carried out for a period of 2 hours between 9 am and 5 pm, and a further power cut of the duration of 1 hour and 20 minutes between 5 pm and 9 pm. Protest in front of the Presidential Secretariat is being conducted for the 22nd day today.
Agitators coming from different parts of the island were engaged in shouting slogans at the venue. This is a scene of protesters at the Golf-Face Green last night. A puppet display and a musical concert were also conducted. A group that arrived at the scene was reported to have assaulted Venerable Alawe Dhammasujata Thera. The Thera is presently receiving treatment at the Colombo National Hospital. The Fort Police Station is conducting further investigations into the incident of attacking the Thera. Police media spokesman SSP Nihal Talduwa said that a certain incident has taken place at the Golf-Face Green last night where a bhikkhu was assaulted. He adds that the victim was admitted to the National Hospital the following morning. The police spokesperson further said a group may have created a problem through an exchange of words with the Thera. Subsequently, it turned into a fight. He added that the police checkpoint at the National Hospital has informed the Fort Police Station. A group representing non-party People's Struggle has expressed opinion to the media regarding the incident in front of the Bandaranayake statue. This is the situation prevailing at the protest site today. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party has expressed its objections over the blindfolding of the eyes of the statue of SWRT Bandaranayake by goal-faced protesters.
SLFP Vice President Rohana Lakshman Piyadasa accuses numerous persons of trying to fulfill their personal objectives during the protest. SWRT Bandaranayake had created the turning point in Sri Lankan political, social and economic sectors in the year 1956. Political analysts identifying this event as a progressive revolution. Rohana Lakshman Piyadasa points out that insulting such a leader through blindfolding of eyes and creating defaming slogans amount to fulfilling petty objectives of opportunists. Vice President of the SLFP, Rohana Lakshman Piyadasa, said that the Bandaranayake statue is a significant souvenir of exquisite art of statue building. It was created by artists of the Soviet Union. The agitators have covered the eyes of the statue and presented insulting slogans. The Vice President of the party further said that the turning point of the local political movement was unleashed with the commencement of the Bandaranayake era in 1956. Former great author of Sri Lanka, Martin Wickramasinghe, had identified the Bandaranayake era as the era of the common masses of the country. Rohana Lakshman Piyadasa has further stated that there is another issue that should come under discussion. That was the report published in the Tamil Guardian website on the 22nd of this month. In that report, arguments has been presented as to why the Bandaranayake statue will have to be destroyed. The author of that article has challenged the philosophy and vision of the former Prime Minister. He added that the current incident may have been triggered as a result of the ongoing dialogue in this connection. Certain opportunistic groups may have entered the scene undermining the objectives of other youth. They may be creating the stage for the eruption of ethnic clashes and separatism.
The protest march organised by the Samagi Jana Balawegaya and commenced from Kandy recently has reached Paliyagoda today. The march is scheduled to reach Colombo tomorrow. The protest march has commenced its journey today in front of the Ayurvedic Medical College in Yakkala. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has presided over the event. The protest march is expected to recommence its journey from Paliyagoda tomorrow morning. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that another important stage of their march has got underway from the historic Gampha town. He added that they are expecting the strength and the blessings of all to the massive march, which is intended to create a common man's era which ends the sufferings of the people of the country. Venerable Dr. Umalpe Sobitathera accuses the opposition leader and the Janata Vimukti Peramuna for dreaming of leadership instead of finding solutions to the genuine problems of the country.
The Venerable Thera has made these remarks in a discussion broadcast over social media. Venerable Dr. Umalpe Sobitathera said that the opposition leader has committed a serious offence at this moment, that was failing to arrive at any agreement regarding an all-party government. The Venerable Thera said that at this crucial moment, what should be done is not to walk in the streets. Those who want to protest could do their agitations in the streets, but the opposition leader, as a responsible person, should engage in uniting all factions and to think on tomorrow's outcome. He is responsible in taking correct decisions. The Venerable Thera added that, however, the opposition leader as well as the Janata Vimukti Peramuna are taking decisions targeting an election. Anunayaka of the Malwatta chapter, Venerable Niyangoda Vijayasiri Thera, says that charges launched by the International at the time of the defeat of terrorism could re-emerge in the event of resignation or removal from power through a no-confidence motion of the Prime Minister as a means to set up an all-party government.
The Venerable Thera has made these remarks when a group of backbench parliamentarians of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna called on him yesterday. Anunayaka of the Malwatha chapter, Venerable Niyangoda Vijitasiri Thera, said that expulsion from the parliament for the Prime Minister would become imminent after losing the no-confidence motion. Then the Prime Minister would become a normal civilian and he could be brought in chains. Under such circumstances, accusations on atrocities by the Geneva Convention could be brought upon others, including the former army commander. Therefore, he has pointed out that they must think on the practical possibilities that may arise due to these developments. Thereafter, the group of ministers have met Anunayaka of the Asgiri chapter, Venerable Vendarue Upali Thera. Marriage is considered as a major turning point of lives of the youth. Some even call it a rebirth.
Well, a special group in Sri Lanka was accorded this unique opportunity yesterday, and the event took place in Bandaravilla. However, a special feature of this occasion was that all those who have engaged in marriage were persons with special needs. The wedding ceremony was conducted in a hotel premises in Bandaravilla. The Bandaravilla Lions Club has taken the initiative in organizing the marriage ceremony. The 10 persons who joined in the event of tying the knot were persons of hearing disabilities. Additional Registrar of Marriages, Bandaravilla, Mrs. D.N. Hettiarachi, has registered the couples. President of the Bandaravilla Lions Club, R.M. Premaratna, and Director B.G. Lakshman Silva have signed as witnesses of the marriages. A large gathering, including parents, friends and relatives of the brides and the bridegrooms, have attended the event. Indian High Commissioner in Sri Lanka, Gopal Bagli, has handed over to Minister Professor Channeleye Sumana a stock of medicine donated by the Government of India to Sri Lanka yesterday.
The value of the stock presented at the Colombo harbour is $15,415. It is comprised of 95 types of essential drugs. The vessel Girija of the Indian Navy has brought the items to the island. Minister Professor Channeleye Sumana has stated on this occasion that Sri Lanka appreciates India's contribution at this time of drug shortage. The Minister of Health has also pointed out that India, as a friendly neighbour, is always extending massive support to Sri Lanka at every difficult situation. General Secretary of the Office of the Indian High Commission, Dr. Rakesh Pandey, Indian Defence Coordinator, Captain Vikasud, Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Major General Dr. Sanjeeva Munasinghe, Director General of Health Services, Dr. Asela Gunavardhana, and Coordinator Technical Committee of the Ministry of Health were also present. Meanwhile, increasing of the prices of medicine by 40% has been empowered with effect from midnight yesterday. The relevant Gazette notification was also issued yesterday. Minister of Health Professor Channeleye Sumana says that the price changes do not become applicable for locally produced drugs. Minister Janaka Vakumbura says immediate measures are being taken to provide fertilizer, agrochemicals as well as compensation to the farmers.
Well, the minister has disclosed this fact upon discussions with state officials, including Commissioner of Agrarian Services and representatives of farmer organizations in the Polonnaruwa district yesterday. Farmers in Polonnaruwa have been engaged in a fast of nearly 4 days, demanding immediate provision of fertilizer, agrochemicals and compensations. The fast has been called off after a promise made by the minister to accede to their demands at yesterday's discussion.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party says people's cooperation is essential to find a solution to the existing crisis. Deputy Speaker Ranjit Siambalapitiya has expressed opinion at a media briefing of the party today. Deputy Speaker Ranjit Siambalapitiya said that the first issue is that the international community should re-establish confidence on Sri Lanka's financial situation. Similarly, the country's foreign reserves should be expanded by a further $2 billion. Another requirement is the restructuring of the foreign debt. The Deputy Speaker has further pointed out that all administrators, whether they be present government or an interim government, will have to find answers to the current problem. However, these responses would not be pleasing. The strong confidence of the people should be with the administrators. The people should also have determination to come out of the crisis and rebuild the nation. The Deputy Speaker added that he sees at this moment an extremely appropriate condition in the appointment of a most suitable central bank governor. He also said that learned and emotional comrade youth should also realize at every moment that a solution should be found through the existing legal framework. If they really love the country, they should deviate from creating more trouble through agitations.
An educational workshop for Sri Lankan youth was conducted at the Russian Cultural Center. Programs are being conducted to provide free educational facilities to Sri Lankan youth in Russia. Many persons who follow the courses are today holding high positions in numerous sectors in Sri Lanka. On this occasion, winners of the online Russian song competition titled Singing in Russian have received prizes and certificates. Director of the Cultural Division of the Russian Embassy in Sri Lanka, Anastasia Kokolava, and Chairman and Director General of the National Youth Services Council, Damita Vikramasinghe, were also present on the occasion.
Thank you for covering today's event held by the Russian House in Colombo and arranged jointly with Sri Lanka Youth Services Council. That is a presentational event bringing together the youngsters of Sri Lanka and Russia and giving more information of the opportunities provided by the Russian Federation to Sri Lankan youth. Regarding annually, the Russian Federation allocates 40 scholarships for Sri Lankan citizens to get higher studies at master's, bachelor's and PhD levels at Russian state universities free of charge. Besides, we implement the new generation program which avails Sri Lankan youngsters to go to Russia to participate in various high-scale international conferences, forums and various festivals of art, culture, science and media as well. So thus, here at the Russian House in Colombo, we arrange multiple activities for younger generation and for the general public or for Sri Lankan citizens to let them learn more of how they can benefit from Russian culture, science, education, how they can learn more and establish direct ties with their Russian counterparts. And we are here at the Russian House, being the cultural section of the Russian Embassy and representing the Russian Federation in Sri Lanka for humanitarian cooperation, are really happy to have the Sri Lankan Youth Services Council as one of our major partners in developing and strengthening cooperation with youth. First Secretary of the Russian Embassy in Sri Lanka, Director of the Russian House in Colombo, Anastasia Khokhlova. Very happy to have among the winners of our Singing Russian competition the officer of Sri Lankan Army, beautiful lady Vino Harindri. Thank you, dear.
Well, stay tuned for foreign news coming up next.
Terima kasih, Pantamai.
back. Starting off with your foreign news, starting off with Afghanistan. A powerful explosion has killed more than 60 worshippers after Friday prayers at a Kabul mosque, the latest of a series of attacks on civilian targets in Afghanistan during Ramadan.
The blast hit the Khalifa Sahib Mosque in the west of the capital in the early afternoon, according to Habib, the deputy spokesperson for the Interior Ministry. The attack came as worshippers at the Sunni mosque gathered after Friday prayers. A local resident, Mohammed Sabir, said he had seen people being loaded into ambulances. The emergency hospital in downtown Kabul said it was treating 21 patients wounded in the blast and 2 were dead on arrival. A nurse at another hospital who declined to be identified said it had received several people.
Well, from Afghanistan to Ukraine, Russia's foreign minister has again urged the United States and NATO to stop supplying Kyiv with arms if they are really interested in resolving the Ukraine crisis, Chinese state media has reported. Sergei Lavrov said in an interview with China's official Xinhua news agency that if the US and NATO are really interested in resolving the Ukraine crisis, then they should stop supplying the Kyiv regime with arms and ammunition. The US and several European countries have supplied weapons worth billions of dollars to Ukraine in its fight against Russian aggression. US President Joe Biden has asked Congress for $33 billion to support Ukraine. Moscow has repeatedly warned Washington against continuing its military assistance to Kyiv, accusing the US of pouring oil on the flames of the war.
And now for sports news. In India, the Lucknow Super Giants team beat the Punjab's King team in a Premier League tournament played in the Pune MCA grounds today.
Lucknow Super Giants team, which came to bat first, has scored 153 runs for the loss of 8 wickets at the end of 20 overs. Quinton de Kock has scored 46 runs and Deepak Kuda 34 runs. Kageshwar Rabada has captured 4 wickets and Rahul Wahar 2 wickets. The Punjab Kings team, facing a victory target of 154 runs, was able to score only 133 runs for the loss of 8 wickets within the 20 hours. The high scorer for the Punjab team was Johnny Barrasto, who has scored 32 runs. Captain Mayank Agrawal has also scored 25 runs. Moshin Khan took 2 wickets. Dushmanta Chamara and Kunal Pandya have also captured 2 wickets each. Accordingly, Lucknow Super Giants team won the match by 20 runs. With this victory, the Lucknow team has reached 3rd position in the Indian Premier League bonus point chart.
Well, that is sweetly timed.
That's all the news for today. Join us again at the same time tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.